You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. LSU had football practice on Saturday. The media was allowed to attend. We talked to Brian Kelly afterwards, and I asked Brian Kelly specifically about safety play because, quite honestly, it's something I asked him about throughout last season because it was the weakest link. Your defense was better than the worst defense ever in 2023, but still wasn't good. And a giant problem you had was your safety's inability to cover and to tackle. When you look at the Pro Football Focus rankings, and again, Pro Football Focus, a metric, not the metric, but something worth considering. Your lowest graded starters, your two lowest graded starters defensively were Jardin Gilbert and Major Burns. Now, it's a bit odd that you had Sage Ryan ranked as one of your higher ranked defenders, but a big part of that where his pass rush grade was an 81, which elevated him a little bit to a total grade of 69.9. Good, serviceable, certainly not great. Well, in this spring now, of course, Sage Ryan's at Ole Miss. Major Burns is off to the NFL. Jardin Gilbert is recovering from a shoulder surgery. And Brian Kelly did confirm that Gilbert's going to be out all spring. But play that one if you would. He sort of lauded Jardin Gilbert for the job that he's done here being out in spring.
No, he'll be out all spring. Yeah. But he's there every day. I mean, he's been a great leader, and he's actually been the kind of veteran guy that you want, right? He's been around those young guys. He's been accountable. He's been really good.
That's fantastic to see. And I am also, listen, I know Jardin Gilbert was not great last year. Like, I know that. We have eyes. We saw it. He was also playing the entire season with a dislocated shoulder that seemingly every time. I mean, he had the strap, the harness on his shoulder. Every time that he hit someone, the thing would seemingly pop out. It was a problem. It's hard to be a physical, point of attack, tackling safety when you're using one arm. So, had surgery this offseason, get healthy. Let's see how that looks next year for Jardin Gilbert. But in spring so far, we're seeing Tamarcus Cooley and Javen Toviano run with the ones. Now, you can throw a little caveat in there with Austin Osbury playing the star. That's going to be Harold Perkins. But the star is kind of that hybrid nickel-Sam position that we know how it goes. And here's what Brian Kelly talked about with what he's seen so far from the safeties through, again, just 5 spring practices. So that is the caveat worth mentioning. But here's what he said he's seen so far.
Well, I would say pleased. When I assess the safety play, there are a couple of things that I'm looking for. The first is, are we making tackles at or near the line of scrimmage? And we are. Are we making open field tackles and getting the ball down when the ball breaks through the second level of our defense? And we are. We weren't doing that and have not done that on a consistent basis. Are we, from a technical standpoint, playing the ball in the air well? And I see it in 7-on-7 that the structure of our defense is such that we are. So the early indications are that we're getting that kind of play that you generally see with the development of young players.
So, and if you're following at home, Brian Kelly said what he wants to see from his safeties. Can you tackle at the line? Can you tackle in space? And can you cover? That's pretty standard, right? And you already said, we weren't doing that. We didn't tackle in space, we didn't tackle at the line, and we didn't cover. Right. Your safety position last year was bad, which is why you went out and you added Tamarcus Cooley, which is why you went and got a guy like Mansour Delane, who, by the way, was awesome in coverage this weekend and I think is going to end up being a starting cornerback on this team. He's really good. Which is why you're moving Harold Perkins to the star position and committing to that. You got to be better at those things, and he's trying to tell you so far he feels like they are. Listen, we didn't get to see a ton of scrimmage on Saturday, but one of the plays, they ran a running play to the right side with Caden Durham. Austin Osbury, boom, from the star, boom, fill the gap, got Caden Durham on the ground for no gain. Like, that's a positive thing to see. The fourth play we saw, Aaron Anderson ran a 10-yard out route. Tamarcus Cooley from his strong safety spot basically filled, saw it, read it, pass breakup. 2 very positive plays out of the 4 we saw from your safeties. Those are the types of things you didn't have a year ago. Tamarcus Cooley, I'm specifically talking about those Pro Football Focus numbers just for comparison. Tamarcus Cooley last year, his PFF grade was a 79.5, okay? 79.5. Again, I don't need to go into all the detail of how that's all calculated. Just realize a 79.5 is very, very good. Sage Ryan was your highest graded safety. Remember, Cooley, 79.5, all right? Sage Ryan, a 69. If I look at Deshaun Spears, 61. Toviano, 57. Major Burns, 57. Jardin Gilbert, 53. Cooley was a 79.5. Tackle at the line, tackle in space, cover. You had to get better talent. You added a really good player in Tamarcus Cooley, who, as I understand it, when the scrimmage went inside on Saturday, played very, very well. By the way, Brian Kelly was asked specifically about Cooley afterwards, and he was asked more so, was he going to play the nickel as a safety, or was he going to play nickel, or was he going to play safety? And Kelly kind of gave an explanation.
So playing in the nickel position, you're either a corner playing nickel or you're a safety playing nickel. He was a safety playing nickel. So he's had experience playing at that position. And we felt like that was the reason why we recruited him, that he was a safety that could play nickel. There's a difference, obviously. One's a little bit more physical at that position than the other, and one's maybe a little bit more gifted in terms of the coveraging, but maybe not as strong against the run. So he was always a safety that could play nickel, and that was the kind of versatility that we thought we would get in the recruiting.
Okay, let me translate. Nickel corners, better in coverage. Nickel safeties, better at tackling. We think he's a safety that can play nickel. What is Brian Kelly telling you? We couldn't tackle worth a darn last year. We couldn't get ball carriers on the ground. We think he's a safety who can play nickel. Physical at the point of attack, get the ball carrier on the ground. Tackle in space, Harold Perkins. Yes. That's what they want. By the way, Tamarcus Cooley, his tackling grade last year, I told you his overall grade was a 79.5. His tackling grade, 81.3. They got dudes that can tackle. That's the goal. Tackle the damn ball. Please. Don't let me see another 2023 LSU offense with Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and freak shows left and right, and you go 9-3 because you can't tackle or cover or do anything. Yes, add dudes that can tackle. Mission seemingly accomplished, I hope. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.